Hello everyone, welcome to the daily newspaper analysis of the Shankar IAS Academy, brought to you by the Civil Media team. These are the topics for discussion. So the first article from the Hindu discusses about the consequences of the delimitation. Next article titled Equality in Union Workers Case from the Indian Express discusses about the importance of Article 14. The next article titled Endogamy, a key issue of population disease from the Hindu talks about the problems associated with the endogamy marriage, and the last article titled when space debris crash earth is from the Hindu talks about the consequences of the space debris and how important issue it is. So before moving into the articles discussion, there's just a small announcement to be made. So Shankar IAS Academy's pre-fit test series, they are UPSC Prelims test series, which is going to be conducted from March 10th. So the interested students can apply through the scan code given, also through the link provided to boost up your prelims practice. Now see the first news, endogamy key cause of population specific diseases. So here what they are saying is endogamy, the practice of marrying within small communities, was a primary cause of population specific diseases in India, where a recent study has been found by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. So this significant number of disease causing genetic variations, many which were unique to specific populations according to the report. So here they are telling that population specific hereditary diseases are most oftenly associated with novel genetic mutations. So here we can first analyze why this study is important. Here the study was a major step towards our understanding of the genetic underpinnings for India's unique genetic architecture. So first let us see what the concept is all about. Here, looking into the definition of endogamy, it is marrying someone within a specific social, cultural or a religious or ethnic group. So here there is homogeneous marriage culture, where endogamy is mostly deeply rooted in India's caste and community structures, and the study has found that it leads to genetic homogeneity over the coming generations. So this is known as endogamy. Now we should know why India has endogamy. So this topic can also be a main topic where it comes under the Indian society. First reason is the prevalence of the caste system and social stratification. So here we know Varna as well as the Jati system have promoted the caste based marriages, and it is prevalent in India, and texts like Manusmriti and Dharma Shastras have also enforced caste practice and caste marriages in the caste system to enhance the idea of purity. Then the next factor would be having religious and cultural traditions. So here many religious groups such as Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism encourage the endogamous marriages. So here the Gotra system restricts lenient based marriages. So here we need to see the difference between caste and Gotra. So Gotra is people linked through Gotra are linked through the lineage or the ancestral system. So here different people of caste coming from different castes can be in a same Gotra. So there is a clear difference between marriages which happens between the in the caste system as well as in the Gotra system. Here Gotra system restricts the lineage based marriages, but here endogamy is being enhanced through the importance of caste preferences and also other factors related. Now looking into another factor of economic consideration on why India is still practicing endogamy, such as to maintain family wealth, land ownership and business succession. So here it is mostly patriarchal in nature, just for the properties and the wealth to be within the caste community. Endogamy marriage is being practiced, and having dominant agrarian communities practice endogamy to retain the land control ultimately. And finally is to bring in social pressure and honor the culture. So here there is fear of social fear of social ostracization, and it discourages the intercaste marriages along with the various reasons as I mentioned before. There's just that fear of how people are not ready to accept someone from not who's from their same community, and also how honor where we can see how honor is being mostly symbolizes the status of women in a family, where ideologies such as honor, ideologies such as status has been mostly objectified on women, and how honor based violences enforces endogamy norms. Now, looking into the legal and policy gaps here, Hindu Marriage Act, according to the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 and Special Marriage Act of 1954, it allows intercaste marriages. And social resistance and lack of awareness have, and which limits their acceptance, can also be seen one of the reason here. Social, when compared to the social resistance, comparing to the full family resistance, there has been significant win over the families. Preference over endogamy rather than looking into social and other economical perspectives. So here the Cup Panchayats discourage non-traditional marriages. So Cup Panchayats can be known as many local governances where especially in the rural area they discourage non-traditional marriages such as marrying someone outside the caste or Varna system. Now, looking into other psychological and emotional factors, first there is a large focus on parental influence, where parents mostly bring in the idea, like prefer the idea of arranged marriages, where it ensures their caste compatibility. Next is having sense of security here. Knowing to know someone from their own caste and getting married to someone from their own caste can bring in the safety and security of shared customs, their language and traditions, where it can foster comfort and security. Next is let us look into endogamy positive effects also. First is preservation of cultural identity. It ultimately maintains traditionals and languages. Next is having social and economic stability. It ensures their continuity in wealth and the occupation in itself, and having strong kinship networks. So it strengthens their social and their cultural cohesion or their community together. Now, looking into negative effects, so whatever we have seen as a positive effect will be largely seen as a negative effect, and along with it there is this new factor on how the report tells us there is genetic disorders. So there is genetic disorders, so such as increased risk of sickle cell anemia and other genetic disorders are in high risk, and it affects mostly the children's born to their couples. Next is having reduced genetic diversity. So here it weakens the immunity, it raises the hereditary risk, disease risk. Next is bringing in limited social mobility. Again, it reinforces caste division, hinders integration, and again it hinders someone to climb up the ladder of social development. And finally is having higher infant mortality rates here. These marriages can cause birth effects due to the genetic disorders. So looking into way ahead, first is having genetic screening and counseling. Here it can promote genetic testing for at-risk communities. So even people who are engaged in endogamic marriages can have a genetic screening. Next is awareness programs. Next is promoting social integration along with the awareness program, that is to educate on the genetic risk of endogamy and encourage intercaste marriages, and having personalized medicine. So it can utilize genomics for the targeted treatments. Bringing in government incentives to strengthen the support for the intercaste marriages. Next, in having public awareness campaigns, for example, highlighting health and risks and genetic diversity's benefits. So here there is coverage of every perspective from the marriage, and having legal reforms, strengthening the enforcement against caste discriminations and honor crimes. Now let us see a prelims question. Which of the following best defines endogamy? It is option A, the practice of marrying within a specific social, ethnic or religious group. Next is the prohibition of marriage within the same caste. No, this is too extreme. A legal system enforcing arranged marriages in a society. A form of marriage that requires partners to belong to different social groups. No. So here the most appropriate would be A. Now let us look into the next article title here. Tamil Nadu parties oppose delimitation, it passes resolution. So before knowing the article, first let's understand what is delimitation is. So here delimitation is nothing but readjusting the territorial boundaries into constituency of any state or any union territory as per the population, which in reference to the last census found. So it comes under the Act of Delimitation Act of 2002. So the main purpose of having delimitation is bringing in equal voter representation according to the population, and having the population control as well, so there is equal representation according to each constituencies. So here it brings in the importance of having population representation for voter representation, as well as having constructive population and having limit on the population, so there is equal representation by each of the constituencies in the election. So here it is based on the latest census data found, and it is conducted by Delimitation Commission, and the final orders, that is the final decisions given by the Delimitation Commission, cannot be unchangeable and they not be represented in court. So this is known as delimitation. Now what is a constituency? So according to the Delimitation Act of 2022, here constituency can be defined as a territorial area or territorial boundary where it has been divided. So any state or any union territory is being divided into a territorial area or a territorial boundary for the purpose of election when it comes to the House of People, that is the Lok Sabha, and also for the legislative assembly elections of the state in itself. So it brings in the territorial division for electing the members for the Lok Sabha elections as well as for the state legislative assemblies. So according to per constituency, there is one representative. The types of constituency can be divided as parliamentary, that is for the Lok Sabha, and for the state legislative assembly, that is the Vidhan Sabha. So I hope that you can understand what is delimitation and what is constituency means. Now let us look into the constitutional basis for this. Here according to the Article 82, Parliament can enact the Delimitation Act after each census is found for the election of the Lok Sabha seats. And also under Article 170, here the state is being divided into territorial constituencies known as Vidhan Sabha seats. So these are the constitutional representation for the Delimitation Act. Now let us look into the history of delimitation commissions. So in 1952, Delimitation Commission Act was established. In 1963, Delimitation Commission Act was formed, and in 1973, Delimitation Commission Act was enacted. And in 2022, set by the Delimitation Act in 2022, here the orders would be effective from 2008. So here it was established, here it was formed, here it was enacted, and here it would be effective after 2008. So the act have gone few amendments here. In the 42nd amendment of 1976, the delimitation was freezed on until the post of 2000 census. So this 1971 was the census basis for the delimitation act to have their population recognition for the coming elections. But in 1976, the process of freezing of delimitation happened. So until the post 2000 census. Next, in 84th amendment after 2000, in 2001, again the freeze was extended until 30 years, that is post 2026 census. So why this was happening? Because to have the promotion of population control for each of these states to be followed in India. So that is why there was the freezing of the Delimitation Act. So here until 1976, the constituencies were divided under population basis under the 1971 census. So after that only there was freezing of delimitation for the promotion of population control. So along with the population control, there was importance of having equal representation of people as well as seats in the elections in the houses, that is the Lok Sabha as well as in the state legislative assemblies. So this is the concept of delimitation. Now let us understand the news. Now here recently in Tamil Nadu, our Chief Minister has been opposing the idea of delimitation unanimously, as now again they fear that there would be representation of southern states which will be very limited, as southern states have mostly brought in the achievement of controlling the population. So for this many years, if the southern states have brought in the importance of controlling the population. The southern states are seeing the controlling population as one of the achievement. So this shouldn't hinder the election process, where if the delimitation is being brought again, then there would be lesser representation by the southern states in both the parliamentary as well as in the state legislatives. So again, there has been proposal on to freeze the delimitation to until the next 30 years. So this is the news. So I asked the students to give a read about the article, so to get a lot of perspective through understanding what the delimitation process is. Now let us see the act provisions. First, looking into the setup of the Delimitation Commission. Here it comprises of retired Supreme Court judges as chairperson, then having chief election commissioner and state election commissioners. Next is, it is based, so the working would be basis on the latest census data. Here currently 2001 the census were taken, but it was freezed until 2026. Now here Tamil Nadu has been opposing to again freeze the delimitation for the next coming 30 years. So it also brings in the reservation of SC and ST seat determination in the elections. So the procedures including drafting proposal, having public objections when it comes to delimitation, and having finalization as there is no court challenges and as the orders are final. Now let us move on to a prelims question. Which of these statements are right? Only one is right. Delimitation Commission is a temporary body constituted under the Delimitation Act, and its decisions cannot be challenged in any court. Here second option is wrong. Delimitation is conducted after every census, which is wrong, to ensure equal representation based on the latest population data. So here it is not conducted after every census. It is conducted whenever the parliament has brought in the new amendment on the act of delimitation. So here according to the 2021, in the 84th amendment was brought in 2021. So here we can see where they have freezed the delimitation until 2026. So to the amendment, it has brought in the effectiveness which is in the 2008. So here it was frozen under until 2026 census. So here we can see it is not after every census, but whenever the parliament brings in the new act of delimitation according to the latest population data census, whichever is conducted before. So we have also deeply discussed about the delimitation in our Shankar IAS Parliament website. So the link will be provided in the descriptions, and so the students can go and also check the website link to have a briefer understanding about the delimitation and can give a read. So look into this article. When debris from the space crashes to the earth, who is responsible? So here basically the article discusses about the space debris which should be reaching our earth, and its implications and its consequences, which are very very dangerous to all of the beings which is related to the earth. So first let us see what is a space debris. Here space debris is nothing but debris or a wastage or of defunctional human made objects in which is been rotating or which is been present in the orbit. So here it includes non-functional satellites, rocket stages, different rocket stages which has been left behind in the space. Next is fragments from the collisions which happened through the satellites and other functional satellites. Next is discarded equipments of satellites and other space infrastructures and technologies. So here space debris can involve high speed, which is up to 28,000 km per hour. So this is the traveling speed when it comes to the space debris, and space debris can be even very very small or minute, but if it damages or if it affects a functional satellite, it can bring in a high loss and it can create casualties happening in the space. Looking into the risks, first the satellites are attacked, it might lead to the collision of satellites, spacecrafts, and it can lead to the casualties of the astronauts, or even if the astronauts are out behind their space infrastructure or behind their satellite outside, and even if a small space debris which can affect their clothing or which can affect their suit, it can bring in a hole in the suit space suit that they are wearing, where even within a seconds of 5 seconds the astronauts would be losing their life due to the no presence of gravity. So these all are the concerns related to the space debris, and also sometimes the space debris can reach the earth, where it has even more concerns. Now let's look into the causes of the space debris. First is satellite collisions. Here, for example, you can see the case of 2000, in 2009 Iridium Cosmos case, where there is satellite collisions and there has been implications of the space debris. Next is having uncontrolled re-entries. So when there is uncontrolled re-entries by different satellites, here it causes the space debris and it can affect the Earth. Next is having anti-satellite tests. So for example, countries like China, India and Russia anti-satellite have seen the anti-satellite test, that is nothing but destroying the satellites in the space, and it can result in the space debris. And next is due to mainly because of the rocket stage discarding. So we have seen how different rocket stages are discarding in every travel of the satellite, so it can cause the space debris. Now, why space debris is a problem? First, it brings risks to the satellites and all of these space missions. So here, including the astronaut, they have been affected. Next is threat to the ISS, that is the International Space Station. So it ultimately brings down the efficiency of our International Space Station. And imagine pile of waste and garbage being rotating around the space, and how it can into these space missions. Next is having again uncontrolled re-entry. So here you can check the example of China's Long March 5B, which happened in 2023. And next is the Kessler syndrome. Here it is known as having chain reaction of collisions. So one collision can affect another collision, and it can affect the satellites, where one collision of a satellite can affect other satellite being present in the space, and it can ultimately bring in space debris. So these are the recent space debris incidents which happened, for example in 2023, in 2024, and again in 2025 SpaceX rocket debris have been landed in Poland. So you can check these examples to know how important the space debris is. Now, looking into solutions and regulations, first bring in active debris removal, having robotic arms. So here this we should also know that bringing in solution should be cost efficient. So robotic arms, if we are including robotic arms, it should be cost efficient, and the fundings should be even more efficient. Bringing in robotic arms to collect the debris, having nets and lasers to destroy the debris and collect the debris. So for example, in 2025 the European Space Station have brought in the project of Clear Space 1 to clean the space debris. Next is having space fence and AI powered predictions. So we can include AI monitoring and have improved tracking. Next is having stronger global regulations, having mandatory controlled re-entries. We should also have conversation and communication with different global regulations and different countries to have an aligned plan. Next is having updation on the 1972 liability convention. So this convention is having mandates on the damages which is caused by the space debris. So that needs to be even more stricter updation of these convention liability and their liabilities. Next is having national debris mitigation plans. So without the consensus of different countries in one way, this won't be an option. Next is having reusable rocket technology. So here, for example, the SpaceX Falcon 9 have brought in the New Origin, New Shepard. So here this is a missionary to which has been landed to take the space debris. Now, looking into few international conventions, first is the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. So they brought in for the objective was having peaceful purposes for the space. Here, states are responsible for the national activities. And looking into the limitations, no explicit debris has been mentioned. So here we can take this as a way ahead to bring in a solution. Next, the Liability Convention 1972. Here, absolute liability for the Earth's damage and having fault-based liability in space. So for example, these are the few examples where there has been functional based liabilities. Next is the limitation. Looking into limitations, there has been uh, enforcement and proving responsibility has been very less. So here again you can see a way ahead for the solution. Next is Registration Convention 1976. Here the states have to register space objects with the UN. It helps to track the objects. So here looking into limitations, first there are incomplete registrations. So we can check the mandates for the registration as a way ahead. Next is long-term sustainability guidelines in 2019. Here again to track the space debris and bring in international cooperation and having stricter, even more stricter national laws. The limitation is it's not legally binding. So at least it should be made mandatory in nature. And next is in 2020, the Artemis Accords. Here it is a US-led initiative where they bring in sustainable lunar exploration as well as debris mitigation. So here the limitation is there has been only focus on the lunar mission but not on the debris mitigation. So along with the solutions and way ahead that we have given, such as the robotic arms, they can bring in the debris mitigation. So now let us move to a prelims question, which is the right answer. So here statements regarding the Artemis Accord. Here it is a US-led initiative primarily focused on lunar exploration, and India is not a part of this initiative. No, India is a part of this initiative. So about the space debris, for more information you can also check in the Shankar IAS Parliament link, which will be provided in the description for even more clarification. Now looking into this article, when SC Supreme Court defined equality in union workers case. So this is a very interesting article. So here in one of the cases which happened in 1952 between the state of the West Bengal versus Anwar Ali Sarkar. So here they have given about the case and its implications. So here the Article 14 was majorly challenged through the prevalence of the Special Courts Act in 1950. So we can see how the one of the main articles, that is the right to equality, has been challenged through the Special Courts Act, and how this case was a significant change when it comes to enacting the importance of the Article 14 and striking down the Special Courts Act of 1950 as it was ruled unconstitutional. So this article in under remaining the 75 years of our independence, and there are many cases where it reshaped our republic and trust in the constitution. So this is one of the case. So I asked the students to give a read about this article as it seems to be very interesting, and now let's further move on to what the article defines. So first, looking into the background here, in the case of state of West Bengal versus Anwar Ali Sarkar in 1952, in 1950, prevalence of West Bengal Special Courts Act in 1950, where it was established to bring in special trials or the special courts for the criminal cases. So here under 1950 Act of Special Courts, in section 3, here the state has the power, the state government, to establish special courts, and under the act on section 5, the state government can have the power to decide what are the cases can be mentioned for the special courts. So the state government had the ultimate power to even select what kind of cases should be going to the special courts and what kind of cases should be going to the normal courts. So here Mr. Anwar Ali Sarkar brought in the convention and challenged this act's constitutionality, as he spoke that its main challenge is it ultimately violates the Article 14, that is the right to equality. So let's see what are the arguments which were done by the petitioner as well as by the whoever is convicted. So arguments by the petitioner, that is the West Bengal government, here they defended that the Special Courts Act of 1950 was brought in to standing as a need for bringing in quick trials of specific offences. So if a specific offences needs to have a special guidance as well as needs to have timely attention, they told that the Special Courts Act would be easy. Next argument is they told that special courts are for efficient handling of the serious crimes. So there is easy and there is fast judgment. Then they also told that there is no discrimination given as it is based on the crime type and it is not at all based on person. So these are the arguments which were brought by the West Bengal. Now let us see the arguments which were brought by the respondent Anwar Ali Sarkar. So in 1952, he told that first, it's violation of the Article 14 as it brings unequal treatment of the accused. So it is about the person, because he told that how the special court brings in the formation of two groups of the accused people. So whoever is accused, if the state has the power to bring them under special crime, so they are going to the special court. And even there are people who are accused, some people are going to the normal court. So first there is a division of two groups who are going to the special court, who is going to the normal court, and there comes the unequal treatment in itself, and it is about the people. Next is again a violation of Article 19, that is the freedom of speech and expression. So here the state government is having uncontrolled power. So even on the basis of the ideas and on the opinions by the state, they cannot accuse someone of having criminal case which aligns with the special court. So again it restricts the opinions of the person who is being accused, and it brings in the overpower of the state to bring in their opinion on, to even select what is special crime and what is not a special crime. And ultimately it brings in the violation of Article 21, the right to life, where there is denial of a fair trial. Now next accusations were the violation of the separation of power. So having government control over the judiciary was seen as a biggest argument, and finally violation of our own federalism. So here restriction of the state government was very less, and the it also impacted the judicial role. So in hearing all of these agreements, the judgment was made fairly. Here the West Bengal Special Courts Act of 1950 was declared unconstitutional, and due to reasons such as it brings in excessive and brings in arbitrary power to the state government, and it denied equal protection under Article 14, and it ignored the principles of natural justice. So here it ensured equal and fair treatment for everyone who are accused. So let us look into the significance of the case. Again, it strengthened the Article 14, bringing in equal treatment under law, and it defined the reasonable classification. So reasonable classification is nothing but to have a classification on whether a law or a court of order is having its valuable reasons, and classification whether that particular law or a court of order is reasonable. So under two criteria: first, the intelligible differentia. So any law or a court of order should be clear and having rational distinction rather than being in logic. Next is having rational nexuses. So first, the classification should have direct link to the law's objective. So this is known as reasonable classification. Next is bringing in protected judicial independence and upholding fair trial treatments. So before that, let us see few judicial precedents. First, in 1952, this case was the foundation to enhance the Article 14. Next is in the case of Royappa versus the state of Tamil Nadu in 1974. It brought in the arbitrariness doctrine, where again it stands as a doctrine to define the arbitrariness. And next case, the Menaka Gandhi versus the Union of India of 1978, expanded the Article 14. So let's move on to a prelims question. Which of the statements are correct? On the Supreme Court struck down the West Bengal Special Courts Act 1950 because it gave arbitrary powers to the state government. Yes. It denied equal protection of law to the accused person. Yes. It ensured faster trials for all the criminals, which is no. And maintaining fairness, no. And it violated the principle of natural justice. So only option B, 1, 2 and 4 is right. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you are at the end of the video. Don't forget to give a like, comment and share for the video, and to further not to miss any other contents, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and have a nice day.